We're here at the World Economic Forum Day 4, and I have Adrian Gore, the CEO of Discovery, with me. Adrian, good to have you here. And the opening question is how this forum differs from the last forums that you've attended in Davos, obviously in a pre-COVID world. I'm not sure if you were here in May last year.
I wasn't in May, but I've been years back. I haven't been for a while. I'm not sure it's that different. I think years ago there was a much more elitist maybe sense of importance. I think people are much more realistic now. The world is facing real, what they call a poly-crisis here, what they've been talking about, and therefore there's a much more serious tone about things. But I actually think it's been very, very, very productive, and I think that the dialogue has been quite, not optimistic, but hopeful about solutions, despite the almost real fear about, energy war, food security, etc., etc. So it's been a fascinating forum.
What has struck me is that nobody has the answers, and that perhaps everyone's prepared to listen to different scenarios panning out, because the one thing we are guaranteed is a changing world. But there's nobody out there saying this is the definitive direction that we are actually taking. There are too many unknowns.
I think that's right. Although what's interesting is, look, I don't think there's ever been this many unknowns, coalescing in some way. I chatted to a CEO of one of the biggest financial services groups, and he said he came here, he's leaving more confused than he came here. So I said, well, how did you come here? He said, I came here quite pessimistic, and I'm leaving with maybe a bit more optimism. So he was kind of confused. So there is no answers, but there's certainly a feeling, China's about to turn on certain issues on COVID. The Vice Premier of China gave a very, very business-friendly, clear view, very, very sobering, wise speech, I felt. So there's a whole lot of things that are President Zelensky, you may have seen, spoke via. That was pretty emotional, very powerful. So there's a lot of stuff happening, but there's a feeling of, some kind of hope, but there's real concern about risk.
The other big theme is artificial intelligence. Of course, it is always a big theme. But this year, somehow it strikes me as though it is becoming a dominant force in a lot of the different sessions.
Well, listen, I think AI it hasn't fulfilled its promise yet. That's the reality of it. But, some of the new stuff coming out where you can now have an essay written for you. I chatted to one of our vice chancellors. He's like, well, essays are dead now. We're now seeing real usable tech, for the person in the street. So it is a massive issue, and I think exciting.
I know that you have had many, many one-on-ones, and predominantly your diary's been full of meetings. But have you had any time to experience something that you really wanted to go and listen to or engage with?
Yes, listening to the Vice Premier of China, listening to President Zelensky, getting a kind of world view, speaking to a lot of different people. There's something unique about this intensity of different views and people are on a different mindset here. So I've had a lot of bilateral meetings with our partners and others. We get things done because we're all in a collaborative mood. What I'm saying. So it is very, very interesting. But it's been one of the really mentors of our business community made the point: either you do bilateral meetings or you must learn. And his view is just sit and learn. That's his approach, and it's done him well. But I've had a bit of both.
Our ministers, I had the pleasure of chatting to Minister Godongwana. I've chatted to Lesetja Kganyago from a South African Reserve Bank perspective. Everybody is relatively upbeat. Do you believe that that is a euphoria that is unfounded, or do you think there's substance to the positivity?
I think there is substance, but I think the narrative and the emotional position of South Africans has probably never been worse. I think the power crisis has absolutely sapped our energy, our hope for the future. It's one thing that affects every single South African, in some way. But amazingly here, the dialogue session that the ministers hosted had some very serious international investors there. And the message was quite unequivocal. We believe in the country, we love the country, we want to invest, but sort out your problems, sort this energy crisis out. So I think there is some optimism about, we know what we have to do. If we get it done, there is a world that really wants to support the country. That's absolutely clear. And we try to make the point to South Africans in that session that despite having little power, the economy actually is doing reasonably well. There's some unique resilience in our private sector, some agility. So there really is I think there is a sense, not a sense, a reality that if you give us the chance, get rid of this energy problem, South Africans will somehow do well, and we need to hold on to that.
Give us a chance, get rid of the energy problem, and we will do well. We're going to take that as the quote of the World Economic Forum from Adrian Gore, who is the CEO of the Discovery Group, joining us here at the World Economic Forum in Davos, Switzerland 2023.